Evaluating film has been a passion my whole life. Knowing what's made one player fit a system is what drove me to help assemble a championship roster. Now I want to let you know where you stand. We are searching for the top prospects and revealing what makes players' film so great. Are you brave enough for Athletic Audit? What's your score? Welcome back to Athletic Audit. We have another legend in the building. Kyle Morgan, he's helped assemble teams in Arizona. He is currently the scout extraordinaire for the West Coast for Catapult, and he is an overall just legend. Has kids in the recruiting realm. He does it all. Kyle, thanks so much for coming on today.
I appreciate it. It's going to be hard to live up to that intro, but thanks for having me.
Hey, you've already lived up to it and then some. I'm just reading your bio here. I could go on for the next hour, but I'm going to refrain from doing that. But Kyle, I'm so excited because you brought up a couple of my favorite players today. We're going to the defensive side of the ball. What makes defense so desirable for you?
Oh, it sets the tone. You want to have as many dogs on your roster as possible, and to me, that's where you find them on that side of the ball.
We're not looking for any puppies. I'll tell you that right now. The only people we're going to be evaluating are absolute DOGGS Snoop Dogg dogs. And with these dogs, you've got two that you sent across my desk. And I was like, these are two of my favorite. Both of them I've seen live, and both of them are absolute dudes. And they both play safety. Tell me what you're looking for in a safety before we break down the film.
First and foremost, I like really good tacklers. Somebody really reliable in that space. Somebody that's gonna, run the alley. Just really, bring the wood, right? And then from there, just looking for instincts and the range and coverability, and then the ball skills downfield. And a lot of times, you're going to have some players that are higher on the IQ, football IQ at that level, and then kind of get people lined up and kind of really set the tone pre-snap. And so that's generally what I'm looking for. But it varies depending on scheme. But I think these guys that we're talking about, they're kind of plug and play no matter the scheme.
Yeah, I've played with some great safeties in my career. Danny Sorensen, Chris Badger, Craig Bills. I mean, we even go back to when I was at Utah, Eric Rowe. I mean, we're talking about NFL guys. And both of the dudes you brought to my desk, I like them both. I'm like, these two have NFL qualities, NFL abilities. But what's interesting is every single safety is a little different. Some, they're just big hitters. Some, they like to set everything up like a chess match with the quarterback. You like to give the safety the green dot, almost like an Eric Weddle putting everything in. And you're just like, hey. And what I mean by a green dot in the NFL, if you've got the green dot on your helmet, it means you can talk to the coaches and they can talk to you. And you can set everything up and say, hey, bring it on, we're ready. Absolutely. But these two are green dot material and then some. What I love what you picked out is you got guys that play both offense and defense. So what does it mean when a guy can play offense in high school as well as defense?
They're just athletes. And if you're just talking traits in general, you're looking at, let's just be an athlete first, and then we'll find a spot for you. And these guys never come off the field. Talking all phases, have special teams abilities too. So, but yeah, that offensive, they're learning how to run routes and understand that side of the ball. So then on the defensive side, that helps that play speed and those instincts shine a little brighter too. So there's toughness. Again, that dog mentality that maybe they carry over onto the offensive side of the ball when they get that ball in their hand after the catch or in, run scenario, that sort of thing. They're just very, very difficult to bring down. And that's the stuff that you can't teach. I think you're just kind of inherited that. That's a genetic thing.
I remember one time the ball ended up in my hands through a series of unfortunate circumstances. And the coach was just sitting on the sideline on his knees praying, go down, please go down. Yeah. And that is not the case with these guys. They're saying, find a lane, take some dudes out, let's get her done. So let's break into our first guy. like I always say, we look at a bunch of different things. And just to remind everyone, for safeties, we're looking for size, physicality, ball hawk ability, grit, tackling, technique, quickness, hips, football IQ, point of attack, and recovery speed. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Kyle might be looking for something a little bit different because he's a much more knowledgeable than me, and he's seen maybe one or two more films, but that's okay.
Very, very similar traits. That again, looking for smart players, physical, and then we can kind of teach it from there. But
okay, let's find some smart physical. Let's get some smart physical players now, and we'll get going. So let's start with Kaue. So Kaue Akana, let's do a little background information on him. Kaue comes from an elite family. The Akana name, Tausili Akana, Jaron Akana, his dad. His older brother is an offensive lineman committed to Hawaii. His dad was an NBA agent, so he's got the smarts in at least one sport. Let's see if we can make it two. Kaue is half Brazilian and is one of the better kickers in the state as well. That's what I love from what Kyle said. He's like, hey, let's find someone that can do it all. And that's what I like in my safeties. So a little bit of background. Before we get into this, what are you seeing, Kyle?
Yeah, early on, just the diagnosis of the motion. So he's going to rotate down and then just see it, react, and, light him up. And that's a tone setter play right there.
I love that you can see the sideline. Everyone's excited. This poor little corner who's coming off, he's like, I've got the hit. And then Kaue's like, nah, I've got you, bro. Yep. And that is just a game-ending hit for that little receiver coming out the way on this little RPO.
I mean, typically they're going to run those types of plays to get their best athletes in space and maybe spring, something big. And just to have somebody that size and that physical just kind of play all over the field really, really limits those types of plays from being successful.
Yeah, 6'3", 200 pounds coming in there is no joke. And I love starting it out like this because what I want for my safeties, just like you said earlier, fill in the alley, coming in the gap. That's what Kaue's doing right here. He's saying, hey, I own the flats, get out.
You have to be willing to support the run as a safety, and he'll continue to develop into the strong safety, and who knows, maybe as he continues in his football career, he's big enough, I think, and got the frame to develop into even maybe perhaps a linebacker. So to have that kind of athleticism, I'd want him as close to the line of scrimmage as possible.
He's what I kind of think will be a nickel at the next level at times, where I'm like, hey, he can play in the box. He reminds me a lot of Brian Blecken. There was a bunch of safeties at the University of Utah that would be freshman All-American, and then all of a sudden they moved to linebacker and were just dominant.
Yeah,
the weak side linebacker.
I mean, this is what plays in the NFL levels. You got to have that ability to cover, and so his two-way ability helps him there. And then just the size and physicality, he's not afraid to stick his head in the mix.
Not afraid is an underestimate. He loves this.
Oh, yeah. And this stuff's contagious. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Anybody on the field, or you can see his sidelines, they start getting a little hyped, like, okay, this is what it looks like.
A lot of times you watch film and you see this one play, and then you go to play two and you're like, what happened? Absolutely nothing. So does he make a second play that comes in where you're like, okay, this guy's changed the game?
Well, there he is, right? Just line him up in the line of scrimmage. You're going to see him, turn the corner here. He's got the strength to play through two blockers here. And that's really a tough mismatch for really, it looks like a willing blocker at running back, but he's just too big and too strong. And then, of course, finish.
This is what I love about him. He's showing his versatility on play two. He's saying, hey, if you want me to play in the box, I'll play in the box. I'll do what you want me to do. I don't just have to be a free-ranging safety. And that quarterback feels like he's in for a long night. A guy that can come in from safety and disrupt quarterbacks, have that clock timing, go faster in their head, that is one of the most valuable skills because that leads to interceptions later in the game.
Yeah, you're going to pressure this quarterback into making, ill-advised throws, just trying to get rid of it. And that's where the rest of the secondary has a chance to eat too. So, I love. Really, let's talk about how his huddle's constructed too. He's given his best look to these coaches that are watching it, that he can really play a multiple positions and be really versatile.
And here's the other thing with him. You start out, you're like, okay, how big is he actually? That's the question I get a lot. He really is 6'3", 200 plus pounds. So when you show this, it's like, oh, if he's on the line, if he's taking on a tackle, even if that tackle's undersized, he's what he says he is.
Yep, absolutely.
Man, let's just watch this beauty one more time. Just the grit.
He's bigger than the D end of a really good football team.
But they're putting him at safety.
Yeah, that's a nice, little piece to have there, that chess piece.
Sometimes you play with a chess set full of queens, and as long as you can get one of those guys on your team, you're good. And Kaue is definitely that guy. So let's see what he does on play 3.
Yep, other side.
So he does a good job getting around the tackle. It shows us his length, but I don't love how he's left his feet completely.
Yeah, I mean, he's athletic enough to make a play like that. But as you get, against better competition, higher levels of play, certainly at the college level, that back is going to be further up the hole by then. So he's going to have to take on that pulling tackle. And that's where you want to see that play strength show up. How does he shock and shed that block to then chase the play?
So if this were to be a top play for me, you have to run through the face of that tackle into the running back.
Right.
That's what I want to see, where he just cuts the tackle in half, takes the closer to the line half, and explodes through the running back. That's what I want to see from him, but he still made the tackle. But let's not have this play at 3 in the future.
Right. Context matters a lot, so I'm trying to see the scoreboard. What down? That's third down from 12, fourth quarter.
So it's 4th down with 3 to go, 4th and 3, third quarter. But he did heel line. He got the running back down, and he saved a possession for his team.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's, context matters a lot in film too. If you're making plays up big, that sort of thing, but high stakes football, and he shines through. You can see the sideline go nuts. So
massive play, and I love that you bring it up because some of these kids' film I've watched, it's just like, okay, cool, you made a cool play when you're down by 60. No one cares. You did it against the third team.
Yeah,
and you're doing it when it's 35, 27, 28, and it's a one possession game. That changes everything.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. A minute to go, so maybe they just take a knee and win the game. So,
yeah,
and so much of film, I think, is context-driven. Should be, at least.
I think it absolutely is context-driven. And when you see guys that are performing in key moments, that changes everything. And you want to see how guys are going against the top competition. So whenever I'd be breaking down film, it's like, okay, I don't want to see this kid against a lowly team. I want to see them against a Corner Canyon, a Lone Peak, a Temp View, some of the top tier schools where you're going against other kids that are going to go D1. When you beat a kid that's 5'8", 180 pounds, I'm not impressed. When you beat a kid that's 6'5", 240, now we're looking at something. And you're taking down a running back that's like that, or a quarterback or whatever.
Right. Yeah, and I think, just watching this over and over here, it doesn't look like the quarterback wanted to follow there. But I don't think he had the athleticism to make him miss, too. So that was probably his best bet, is to try and follow through. He kind of does a little hesitation there.
Yeah,
Like
I think
he'd
I
prefer
think
to go outside with it, but he just doesn't have the athleticism to get around.
he absolutely did. And you can see he was going to pull it and go outside, but Kaue was already there heel lining, getting down the line and making sure that he protected that fourth down marker right there.
Yeah, and that's a great angle in pursuit. He's disciplined. He knows he's got that outside, and so he can keep pursuing the quarterback as long as he's taking a good angle. And that's exactly what he does. If he surfs down the line of scrimmage, he probably doesn't. Maybe they make that first down. So really good. If you're going to miss, force him inside where your hope is, and ultimately win the game.
Yeah, super high football IQ play right here. His responsibility was the quarterback. You can see his face mask as he turns to the running back, seeing if he has the ball right there. Doesn't, bam. That is huge high football IQ awareness and getting away from that mesh point and understanding who has the ball after everything is done.
Right. And knowing that he doesn't have help behind him.
Mm-hmm. So when you're a safety, you take the widest of the wide, the deepest of the deep a lot of times. But we're seeing a different from his sophomore film. They're letting him come up to the line a lot more.
Yeah.
So you want to know why no one's throwing to him? This is it right here. Receiver comes in, has good angle, but he just drapes over him. You can't have a slot receiver coming in where the safety is bigger, faster, stronger, and has better hands and runs routes better.
That ball, had it been even thrown better, I think he would have played the ball better as well. So really good athleticism there to catch a ball outside of his frame. And yeah, he's just smothering that slot.
I've talked to some SEC teams and they're like, you know what? We really like him at receiver. And I'm like, really? Tell me more about that.
Well, I mean, he does that well also. My only concern is that maybe that top end speed at the highest level, because you're going to start running into his equal on the defensive side of the ball. So I think safety is where it's at for him.
I do too. I think there's a lot of things he can do. I mean, he's almost like Booby Miles out there. He can pass as well, and he can kick, get you water, get you everything you need. Kaue's just the all-you-can-do kid.
He might be maybe a package where he's in there. He's going to block too. So it's really a kid that you don't want off the field. But he could do a lot of really good things at the goal line in the red zone. I'm sure he could play wildcat and do the tush push and pick up some key first downs there too. So just really a unique skill set. And I think you just get him on campus and get him enrolled and figure it out from there based on how the rest of your roster looks too.
That's the secret. Just get him on campus. That's all you need to do, and he'll take care of the rest. Also, super smart kid, high GPA, high ACT. I mean, there's nothing he can't do. I want to watch a little bit of offense with you if that's okay.
Yeah.
Are you all right with that?
Absolutely. Something that sticks out from my times with him, and I've seen him in a 7-on-7 setting multiple times, and then live, in the fall tackle season. And he's just always extremely polite. I'll try to put on, like a GPS technology on him to get some top speed metrics. And there's other kids I approach and they get nervous with it, right? He's like, yeah, absolutely, anytime. So I just like that competitive nature with him and that he's not afraid of any of it.
No, it was really interesting. There's two kids in this class that I really like and have similar skill sets. It's him and Isa Naliae from Timpview.
Yeah.
And watching them both on the field, there were a lot of D1 players on the field, but Kaue and Isa, I'm like, these are two different players. and it makes it really fun, and they go head up with each other. I've seen other guys where they'll avoid competition at all costs. Kaue lives for that.
Oh, yeah.
So let's go over a couple offensive highlights. We'll see him at receiver, probably see him a little bit of running back. But whenever Orem needed a big play, guess who was there?
All day. Hit the post, hit the slant. Just throw it up. He's down there somewhere, and he's going to make it look good.
Yeah. And he's got to be tired because he's on the field. I mean, like, Travis Hunter can do it. He's like, if Travis can do it, I can do it. But goodness gracious, I'm tired from watching the film.
Yeah. Just give him the ball and let him be an athlete afterwards.
He makes Tayden look really good, I'll tell you that. That's what's nice. And here's the thing. Orem's returning Tayden. They've got their tight end back. They've got everyone coming back this next year. And they were really young this last year. This is a year Orem could be really, really good because of plays like the one that's coming up right here.
Oh, yeah, that little fade. I mean, you'll see this here a couple plays in a row. It's just a no-brainer. You're going to get him inside the 5. Just run to the back pylon and moss somebody. Here he is, ball. You know, that run after the catch. And here's that other play. It's just identical. Just run to the back pylon, throw it up, and that's just really, you know it's coming, and you still can't defend it.
It wasn't the perfect placement, but when you have a kid like Kaue, all of a sudden it is perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got defensive backs falling on the ground. Just like, I don't want any part of this. And you'll love to see it. Oh!
Look at that, body control is really special. And you're going to see that, you know, with who we compare him to later on. Just that awareness of the sideline and that ability to get that foot down is something you can't teach.
And here's the thing. He's not afraid of contact at all. He is a great throwback player. Even right here, kid's got an angle. He's going to go through his ribs. I don't care. I got the touchdown, baby. Let's go.
Yep. Yeah. I like this. Line them up at different areas. And good luck bringing them down.
Yeah. So Orem did lose their star running back to Utah State this last year, but they return a lot, and their passing game should be explosive. This is the year that I think Kai Wesley should be able to come up and be a great tight end for them. Tayden Kava'a, he's had a year in the system. He moved a little bit late last year from Hawaii.
Right.
But this is the year I think they should be able to put it all together. And they've got a lot of other great players. Will Rasmussen, they've got dudes on dudes on dudes where you're just like, okay, I know you lost some, but you gained some others.
And that offensive line is young, and I thought they were outstanding last year as freshmen, a couple of them as freshmen, and they're only going to get better and more confident. And,
they got I think the Moala kid from Davis as well.
Yeah.
So they're going to be really good. So let's get into rating them really quick. We'll see if we both agree. So Kaue Akana, let's start out with size. He comes in at 6'3", 200. I need a guy that's at least 6'1" plus. So I gave him 10 points on size. Are you okay with that, Kyle?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, because, I mean...
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. No, I was just saying, he is verified pushing 6'3", so that checks out all day long.
The problem is, a lot of you guys, I mean, I was 6'1" in high school. I was 5'10" in college. And in all reality, I'm around 5'7", 5'8". It comes out eventually unless you're a kicker. Because I can see the post from anywhere in the stadium, no matter who's in front of me. Because they go up about 90 feet. The problem is when you have Kaue draped all over you and you're running a route, you can't see the sun because it's like a shadow following you. So size, he definitely checks that one out. Physicality, what do you got him out of 10?
Oh, he's right up there at the top. So 10 scale, 8 to 9.
I got him at a 9 for physicality. There's some times where I wish he'd wrap up a little better. And like we said in that first clip, where I wish he'd just run through the face of that pulling tackle. But you know what? He was a junior doing all this. He was just a lowly 17-year-old trying to make his way in the world with all these giant human beings around him. So I gave him a 9. I know I'm going to be really critical on him, but that's kind of what we do sometimes,
right.
Kyle.
Yeah, I just want to see the guidelines that we're working in, and that's it, right? When it comes down to who you're going to take and who you're just as an offer guy, they got to check all the boxes. So, yeah, I appreciate the narrow focus here. It was good.
So, ball hawking ability. I was really generous on this, to be honest with you. I gave him a 9 on this. He didn't show it in the film, but it's kind of like a Celesi Moa. Celesi Moa had 5 balls thrown his way this last year and intercepted 2 of them. So you don't see a lot of it, but because of his receiving film, I gave his ball hawk ability a lot of big play. And we saw it when he draped over the slot receiver and caught that ball over him. He ran the route better than the slot receiver. And that shows me a true ball hawking ability right there.
Yeah, and just because we can't see it doesn't necessarily mean they can't do it. And so the fact that we have extra exposures to them that maybe a college does, where we can see them at practice, in the 7 setting, that sort of thing, we know he's got that ability. It's just if somebody's brave enough to test him in that area.
And you know what? I don't have that bravery. I am weak in heart and spirit when it comes to throwing footballs towards, near, or in the vicinity of Kaue Akana.
Yeah, if you want to maintain the ball, I'd suggest maybe throwing a different direction.
Like Pete Carroll said, the most important thing in the game is the ball, and Kaue knows that, and the whole entire sideline for Orem knows that as well.
Right.
So, grit, I gave him a 9 on grit, always running to the pile, tries to make every tackle, recovers positively if a ball is caught on him. He was one kid where when I watched him against Timpview, he was fighting the whole game. And that's something that I look for. How do you react when your team's losing opposed to winning? What do you do? And that shows me a lot of grit at the end of the day, because if you're going just as hard when you're losing than when you're winning, it shows not just who you are, it shows your character, and it shows your grit ability for me.
Right, and the fact that he never comes off the field, that's a certain amount of toughness there, and he's been available too, so he's got that physical toughness too to play through injury or being banged up, and he's returning punts. He's taking a lot of hits in a game, and he just keeps getting up and next play. So absolutely, I'd probably go a little. I don't know how you get much more grittier than how he plays the game.
You know what? The only way to get grittier is to wake up and instead of using toilet paper, you use a cheese grater, because you're a hard bum.
Well, you need to ask him how he starts his day, and we'll check that box.
But he is one of the grittier kids.
Yeah.
The thing is, as a junior, it's still like, can he do more? That's my question. And it's one of those things where it's like, can you do more? Yes. Let's see. Tackling, it's kind of one of those same things. Tackling, we've seen the huge pop. I need to see consistency for a 10 rating.
And that's fair. Yeah, I can get in line with a 9 here. 10s are hard to come by.
10s are hard to come by. Technique, once again, the thing is, he does so many good things, but he's just out-athleting a lot of kids a lot of times. Is his technique perfect? Are his routes on offense crisp? Is his dropping perfect? No. But is he a better athlete than everyone? Yes.
And as he continues to progress and get exposed to, elite coaching, he is coachable. He is smart enough to apply those coaching points as well. And so he does have room to improve in those areas, as scary as that might sound.
And the beautiful thing is he's really used on offense and defense. So he hasn't had time to narrow in to what he is. And as he does that, as he gets more specialized, he's going to get more dangerous. Quickness, I actually gave him a 10 because of the one play. I mean, he reads plays, gets there before the ball or before the running back. He is just everywhere. And his quickness is what makes him a different player for me, at least.
Yeah, defensively, I think those instincts help play speed. Offensively, I wouldn't rate him this high. Just with his short area quickness and certain routes, I think he wins with size on that side of the ball or that side of the ball. So that's probably a room for improvement in my eyes. So I'd probably be a little bit harder on him than a 10, to be honest. Now, yes, he reads and diagnoses and flies down to make the play from a safety position there. But again, offensively, I don't think that mirrors.
And I completely agree. So that's why I love having these conversations where it's like, if I was grading him as a receiver, I'd probably put his quickness at like 7-8 range.
Yeah, I was thinking 7 before you. I mean, we haven't talked about this, so yeah, I was thinking 7 on your scale, just as an offensive player.
Yeah, and that's the hard thing. So I've had guys that have never played a position, and I'll grade them out, and they'll grade out way higher in the position that I grade them out as versus what they're playing in high school.
Sure.
Prime example of that would be like a Blake Freeland, where we put him in at offensive tackle, graded him out, and his graded offensive tackle actually was way higher than quarterback, where he's probably like a Division II quarterback, but an FBS offensive tackle. And I'm like, oh, okay, this might be the spot we put him in and slate him in. Where there's other kids where you're like, hey, this kid's a defensive tackle right now, but let's grade him as a center, or he's a tight end, let's grade him as a tackle, or he's a receiver, let's grade him as a tight end. Let's see where we can actually put him in and where he ends up. Because where you are right now isn't necessarily where you're going to be at the end of the day.
No, and oftentimes I'll evaluate somebody where they play, where the film is, and then just try and visualize them like, okay, what if they move a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage inside the box? And now that quickness isn't an issue, now it's a plus. Now he's, if we're taking this prospect, for instance, and look at him through a linebacker lens, now it's like, man, this is a really athletic linebacker, that type of thing. So I'm always looking at players to fill multiple roles. And like you said, to your point, just see where they grade out and where their best future is.
Yeah. Even with the next guy we're talking about, we'll talk a little bit about where I could see him going in. So quickness, hips. I thought his hips were pretty fluid in motion. I thought he could turn really well. I think there is some room for improvement. I think I should be a little more critical, but I just love everything about this kid. And that becomes a problem where you become too close to prospects. You're like, he can do anything.
Yeah. Yeah. And then if you're, comparing them against somebody at the highest level, somebody that maybe worked out at a combine, getting ready for the draft that's coming up, now that you start to see where those hips are at that level, and it's like, okay, yeah, we got some work to do here. But yeah, can he do it? Absolutely.
For sure. And if he's just working on his hips, it's nice. But he plays soccer. He's been moving in a soccer fashion his whole life. It's really nice to see that he can do that. So football IQ, I did give him a 10 because he understands offense, defense. He understands everything. And as an elite level as a high schooler. Could he do the same things at the next level? Yes, he's smart enough to do it all. He's almost like a Dallas Lloyd level IQ for safety.
Yeah, and think about, when the time comes and, he's got all this hours and hours of film review and position meetings. And I mean, he's got that ability to just absorb, and then that cognitive ability to put it in motion on the field. So absolutely, at a young high school age, to be this smart of a football player is impressive.
For point of attack or point of contact, I gave him a 9. He does a really good job, but at times he does leave his feet. And that's the one thing that I'm like, oh, don't leave your feet when you tackle. But he's running through kids. And I understand that he's analyzing and he's doing all the other things, but I'm like, just pin your ears back, be a bulldog, and let's get her done.
Yeah, and I think he's safe when he does leave his feet. He's got some help around, so I won't ding him too hard on that.
I just have had too many defensive coordinators. It's been just bullied into my brain.
Yeah.
Don't leave your feet. I'm like, all right, got it. Recovery speed, I gave him a 10. It's probably a little bit too high. I'll admit it now that Kyle's here. But I think he does a really good job on the defensive side of the ball. He was beat on that route initially where the guy crossed his face. And with his recovery speed, it's his length that I love. Yeah. Where when the ball's actually thrown, he's going up and getting it. He's doing everything right when it comes to recovery speed. Is it elite D1 ready yet? No. But I'm looking at him as a junior and where he probably will be when everything's said and done. He's still growing into his body.
Yeah, and if he's going to be the one that's going to take away the tight end, then I like that matchup. He can do that. If you're asking him to play in the slot against somebody more shifty, then that's going to be a problem, I think. So he's going to have to then rely on his size and get hands on the line of scrimmage and shut him down physically that way instead of just turn and chase. So, I like him playing the middle of the field, between the hashes, and then really filling that short middle.
So that's all we got. That's what our ratings are. So you got a final rating of 0.9416. And so that's where we've got him. That's a high P5 type, P4 type player. He is SEC caliber in my mind. I think he's a kid that can go wherever he wants. It depends on how he really markets himself. And that's the second part of recruiting, because I've seen kids go from 5 offers to 50. I've seen kids go from 50 offers to 0. It just depends on how you market yourself, and he does everything right on the field. So I want to see more of him, maybe like tweeting out he's at camps, maybe go to a camp at like Alabama and get an offer there, or go somewhere that it can really move the needle. But I think he's a USC, Notre Dame type kid at the end of the day.
Sure. And you know what? I actually like that about him, that he isn't me on social media. That's refreshing to see from an outsider standpoint. We'll see him at the OT7 circuit, and he's playing on TV, but he's playing linebacker, defensively, and so I kind of like seeing that. But anyways, it's a little bit refreshing just to kind of see him. He's a pretty humble kid, and I like that.
Yeah, so his parents have done a great job raising him. He's a phenomenal human being, just does everything right. I can't say enough good things about this kid, and he's a kid that deserves to be a national recruit in my mind. Little bit under the radar, but not low enough to not have offers to the P4 schools already as well. It's
crazy because we heard, at least I've heard about him since, his 8th grade going into 9th grade. So to hear, off the radar nationally is a little bit wild to us, just because we've been around him so often. Perhaps maybe more national camp would help that, if that's what he wants. Maybe he's really happy with the offers he has, and everybody has their own checklist, as they're going through their process, and maybe he's got certain things in mind as far as where he wants to play and accessibility to family and all that. And so maybe that stuff isn't as important to him as it is maybe to media types and that.
Yeah, you would have probably hated me, Kyle, in high school, because I'm the kid that's like, how do I get the next big offer?
You and me both, man. It's all good.
But it's so refreshing to see kids like this, and I love to hear that. And he's definitely handling his recruiting in a way he wants, and that's what I love about this kid. He could go around parade and shut down the top people in the country, but he just does a good job. And I love the comparison that you have for him, because the kid you brought in handled his recruiting very similarly, kind of under the radar. We knew about him from a long time, shut down top players. Let's go into Nate Ritchie and tell me a little bit more about why you chose Nate.
Pick Nate, honestly, because of how he plays the game and how he is specifically on the defensive side of the ball. And you're going to see him fly down here and light someone up here early on in his clips too. So really it was a kind of a no-brainer as far as comps go. Somebody that never comes off the field, plays all the phases, and is really a tone setter.
That
good.
Right there is ridiculous to me.
Right.
So this is Nate. Nate's playing in California this time, against one of the top schools in California. And what I like about Nate is he's playing with Lone Peak. He's playing 6A football. He's playing against Corner Canyon in 2020. He's playing against the top competition. You get to see him best on best. He's going against guys that are going in the NFL, and he is dominating. When he took a step on the field his senior year, there's no one that could really contain him. They took the 2020 Corner Canyon team to the brink of, Corner Canyon had to come back to win against Lone Peak multiple times. And that's how good this Lone Peak team was, led by Nate Ritchie.
Yeah, you see him a few plays ago just stick his foot in the ground and cover the short route by the slot. That looks very similar to what Akana did, getting his feet down and showing that radius and ball skills. Again, that's stuff you can't teach. This is something a little bit I want to see more from Akana is kind of getting into that press and just kind of seeing how he can turn and run. Poor throw helped him out there, but he's at least showing he can do it.
Yeah, I love seeing Nate Ritchie at corner, where you're like, all right, we're going to put him on the best guy no matter what happens. This guy thinks that he's going to bully some 5'8" corner. Not today. Nakembe Mutombo. Show him what's up, Nate Richie.
Yeah, emotion him out wide. Little screen game here, and then let's see what he does. I want to see him put the ball away. But, yards after contact, he is tough. He is an animal to bring down.
So that play right there was against a Division I linebacker right there. Put him on skate saying, oh, whoop, great job, quickness, loved it. And he's not doing it against like some slappy. It's bam, great move, gets upfield, and it's in marquee points of the game.
Yeah, I think you just beat me to it. Just seeing them playing at Rice Eccles there, it's a high stakes game and they're going to get the ball into their best player's hands. And this diagnosis on this play was elite right here. For him to see it, react to it, and then take it to the house was just special.
Yeah, Nate does everything. So I was on Locked On Utes the other day, and they're like, we have two really good safeties, and we have Nate. I'm like, throw Nate in at nickel. See what you can do to help him out.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got to find a way to get that guy on the field.
Let him punt, let him kick, do whatever. He's one of the kids that could kick 55-yard field goals. Do whatever you can to get him on the field because he does stuff like this.
Yep. There he is, Wildcat. Just get the ball in your best athlete's hands and let him drag people into the end zone.
Yeah, he's a menace on special teams as well. There's some menaces named Dennis and there's others named Nate. Here once again at Rice Eccles, Corner Canyon. Top team to go against, getting the first down.
Yeah, and that's one of those context plays, right? There's probably a got to have it down in distance. And look at that play if you want to run that one back. That looked down like a Oh, that's 1st and 10 there, but just to see him fly in and clean up that's a tone-setting play there.
Yeah, this is against a very good Corner Canyon team. That's probably, what quarterback would that be? Not Isaac Wilson. Probably Devin Brown.
Probably before that, because he was the 2020 class, so he was before Devin.
Oh, it's Hagen. That's who it is.
Yeah, he was before Jackson Dart. So yeah.
Woo! Goodness gracious.
Yep.
Still brutal.
Again, read, react, and finish. You know, he sticks his foot in the ground and he's limiting their yards after catch, which is ultimately difference in these games.
This is a 6'5", 200-pound man that he just did that to. That guy had never been picked up ever in California. If he didn't have the face mask on, you'd see him looking surprised. Like, what is going on here? Who is this huge kid that looks like freaking Paul Bunyan coming down and chopping wood at me? My goodness. Thing of beauty. So, Nate Ritchie, we could break it all down. We're not going to, because he's already at the University of Utah. He's already done everything he needs to. And he's still got a couple years left to play, too. And so he's a kid I'm super excited to see what happens with him this next little bit. On offense, defense, special teams, whatever they play him at, he makes the game better. And that's what I love to see. Kids that just love football, and that's what Nate Ritchie is.
Yeah, make those around you better. Improve the culture in your position meetings. Be somebody that can be reliable. I mean, that was the play that Akana did. You know, these guys are so similar, all the way down to the soccer background.
Yep.
Two-way players.
Man.
These are the, force multipliers is a phrase you hear. This is what it looks like.
Yeah, he's got some of that Chase Hansen in him. He's got a lot, like, he's a kid that's just really, really good and is just fun to watch. And he's also a good kid off the field, too.
Yeah.
You can take a couple of those dudes that aren't great people off the field, but it's more fun to be a coach when you're like, I actually like the kids in my room.
Right.
And that kid was late to the play. Come on, tackle. So, but I've had a ton of fun breaking this down with you, Kyle, learning a ton, and just going over some great film. Any final thoughts from you?
No, this was a lot of fun. I like the concept here. I'm not a huge comp person, as far as using this in an exercise. They're out there, and some comps are easier than others, and others seem forced. But this was a lot of fun, and we didn't even touch their special teams, their punting and kickoffs. Akana's booting the ball out of the end zone, on kickoffs. So, I guess we'll have to pull up your film and compare these guys to you.
You know what? I did my film against Ian Sanchez. I am not a good player, is what I found out fairly quickly. I was like, man, I wouldn't recruit me nowadays. But here's the thing. They don't need to throw that on. But when you do go to a game, it's a pleasant surprise. When Kaue and Nate are kicking the ball out of the end zone, you're like, this is different. They're actually kids that could be 5-star kickers when everything's said and done because they have that skill set. And you see some guys that go to college and it doesn't work out at their position, and then they hone into a snapper, a punter, or a kicker, and then they have great careers in the NFL.
Yeah, why limit yourself on, we don't know when our last snap will be, and so to have that wide of a skill set is special. And so we're looking at two really special players here today.
Well, I freaking love it. Thank you so much for coming on Athletic Audit, Kyle. Know that everyone's going to be trying to impress you wherever you go. You cover Utah, Arizona, and where else are you covering right now?
So, Utah, Arizona, Nevada, New Mexico, and West Texas. currently. But can I add, I am so impressed with the football in Utah, and I preach that to anybody that'll listen to me. Honestly, it's come such a long ways, and it's really quality football, tough minded, well coached student athletes, and so I think credit goes to the coaches of these players, their parents, and of course folks like you that help these kids out and get that exposure and help anywhere you can.
Well, it's been a secret for a long time. The more you talk about it, the less secretive it'll be. But we get to see so many great players. We get to see some phenomenal college teams coming out of Utah. And I love that the nation is starting to understand, like, hey, we need to send coaches to the state of Utah and see what's going on in that beehive. Maybe kick it around, see if there's some buzzing going on.
Absolutely. If they show me a player, I say, well, if you like that, you should go see this player. So make the trip up to Utah and kind of expand your recruiting footprint the best they can.
Well, we're seeing it. Dan Lanning has definitely done a great job going into Utah. We've seen so many guys that have gone to the University of Oregon. USC is coming back with Dog Ama coming in and saying, hey, let's not send kids to Tennessee anymore. Let's get them to USC with, not Curtis Taufu. What's the kid's name? The lineman. Isun Taufu.
Yeah.
Yeah, Isun Tafa going to USC. I mean, Brock Harris going to BYU was a big win for local school.
Sure.
But he had Michigan. He had like 30 or 40 offers.
Yeah.
And, I mean, not Shione Moa. My goodness. Now I'm just blanking. What's the Moa kid's name? I said it earlier. Celesi Moa. It looks like he may be going to Michigan State. So more guys, more opportunities. I appreciate everything you're doing, Kyle, for getting some of the kids out in the state of Utah.
Yeah, and I'll try and get up there again either this summer or certainly in the fall, and just keep promoting everybody up there the best I can. But thank you to you as well.
Well, let me know when you get out there. Lunch on me. We'll have a party. It'll be a good time. But thanks so much for tuning in, everyone. This is Moose Bingham and Kyle Morgan on Athletic Audit. Evaluating film has been a passion my whole life. Knowing what's made one player fit a system is what drove me to help assemble a championship roster. Now I want to let you know where you stand. We are searching for the top prospects and revealing what makes players' film so great. Are you brave enough for Athletic Audit? What's your score?